Let's face it, you'll be better off staying at the Hilton. Here's your look at the NECA Toys Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Secret of the Ooze, Michelangelo, and Donatello. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Secret of the Ooze follows the adventures of the four turtle brothers, Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and Raphael, and their master Splinter. Resuming from the events of the last film, the villain the Shredder returns to take back command of the Foot Clan and works towards getting revenge on the Turtles. When he learns the secret behind the Turtles' mutation, he becomes more dangerous than ever. Before stopping by our subway sewer lair, I'd like to thank the folks over at NECA Toys that did make this review possible by sending over the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze, Michelangelo, and Donatello. Taking the tape measure, and we'll be getting into comparisons in a moment, Donatello, and Michelangelo for that matter, because they're both the same size of figure, stands at around 6 inches in height, or they're going to be about 14.5 centimeters tall. I guess for comparisons first, we'll bring in the other Secret of the Ooze figures. Here's what they look like with Raphael. Here's what they also look like with Leonardo. Now, all of them, of course, have redesigns to them that were a little bit different from the original film. And speaking of the original film, here's what they also look like with their original Turtle releases from NECA. There are some slight changes, obviously cosmetic. There has been a lot more changes done to the new Secret of the Ooze Turtles. Also, let's bring in their Master Sensei. There's what they look like with Splinter. Don't really have a Secret of the Ooze Splinter, although you would easily be able to stand in the one that we got from before. This time around, the Turtles have to contend with TGRI, the mutagen company that makes the canister that comes included with these figures. This time around, it looks like the canister is empty. All the slime and all the ooze contained inside is completely gone. One touch I would have also liked to have seen in this is one that actually could have opened up, maybe cracked around the middle section here where you could have actually taken the two halves of TGRI and separate them in the middle. And you would have had two shards, two broken pieces of the canister. But I do like the fact for a change, we get ourselves an empty canister. Really neat. I'm going to put that to the side. Then, of course, you get yourself some slices of pizza. We have gotten slices before. Trying to guess at least the ingredients added to the top here. I still see black olives, possibly anchovies, even peppers. There's a full slice, or if you prefer to have your turtles mid-devouring, then they also give you partial bites too. In the review of Leonardo and Raphael, I had expressed that these were discarded crusts, but they don't have to be. They could still be displayed in the figure's hands. In fact, taking Michelangelo right now, just bending his elbow ever slightly, with the hands provided already in the sockets of their forearms, you can easily, I say somewhat easily, that's not so easy. You can actually take the crust, let's do it on the other side. I had better luck with this side of hand because there's a little bit more gapped space. There we go. And you can actually have Michelangelo looking as if he's eaten several bites of that sleep pizza, not discarding it. Actually, while we are in the topic of talking Michelangelo, he also comes included, let's just put the figure down here for a second. He comes included with a couple of variations of nunchuck. One of which being the regular release nunchuck, which, as you can see, does have roping done in black, dividing or connecting the two parts together. It's a softer plastic that they would have used for the string in the middle. And in both the cases, they're actually nicely painted. You can see there's a little bit of wash of black added in there as well. A little bit different, though, than the original Michelangelo. I'm going to bring him back in here for a second. So that's still a great-looking figure. Back then, you would have actually had to take the straps in between the two shells and slot the nunchucks in there. This time around, though, slightly different. The designing of this suit of Michelangelo, he actually has holsters. Just bring his arms up. Rest assured. Raise your hand if you're sure. Remember that deodorant commercial? Nobody remembers that deodorant commercial. But you can actually take this time around the nunchucks and holster them into the sides of his belt. I think that's a nice touch. I mean, obviously it makes things a little bit easier. I think from drawing out those nunchucks, Michelangelo would probably have an easier time to pull it from side holsters than to try to fit it in between his belt. We're going to keep them on him for the... Actually, you know what? No, we're not. No, we're not. I made a corrective path change. We're going to remove these for right now because there's other nunchuck I want to show you. Put the figure back down here for a second. The figure also comes included, like in the movie, a couple of sausage links. How fun is these? Sausage links not only can be used to eat, obviously, but you can also use them as weapons. Did you know that as well? You could. Just swing them around. I wonder how many people that work for deli occasionally in free time, when they have nothing else to do, just pull down a couple of sausage links and start spinning them around, hoping that none of the customers are coming in for that. Just to show you the difference between the two. Obviously, the regular nunchuck, ones that aren't edible, are a little bit longer in size. A little bit more of a black wash added to them. Whereas the sausage links, you can see, are actually roped off, tying the two parts to the little piggy digits together. And again, like those, these are, by the way, softer plastic too, unlike the regular nunchucks. You can go ahead then and take the sausage link chucks and fit them into Michelangelo's hands. He actually doesn't even need the other hands, although the other hands he comes also included as well. The Turtle Brothers come also included with thumbs-up hands. They don't necessarily serve a purpose for holding weapons, but certainly for giving congratulatory, you did a job well done. These would be the perfect hands for the job. The figures also come included. Let's move everything out of the way here. A couple of gripping hands. One of the grip hands, actually, in fact, you can use to hold the canister. Although the canister, you have to really wedge it in between the finger and the thumbs. Might just end up displaying that, I think, with Donatello. The figure also comes with a wacky bat. That's not really the name of it, but that's the name I'm giving it because I just like the name saying wacky bat. The wacky bat is actually a harder plastic. It would have been nice if they could have used a way like to add foam to the end of it, but that would just only degrade over time. Plastic holds up a lot better. You can see it's nicely painted here in orange with a little band of black. And the handle is also in black. And you, of course, can take that and fit into Donatello's hands if you want. The plastic, once again, on all these hands are harder plastic. So if you're having a difficult time, don't stress. Whatever you do, please don't stress. Just heat that in hot water or use a hairdryer. A horrible sound of a hairdryer. And you can actually get the wacky bat into Donatello's arms. Wait a minute. Did someone lose an arm? More importantly, a forearm? Why did they package a forearm? You may mention for yourself, or you may even put in the comments section down below. Let me add on to that. Let me reiterate why the reasoning for why they include that secondary forearm. Go ahead and take the wacky bat out of his hand for the right now. In the movie, actually, Donatello has a little wristwatch. You can see right there. The strap is just soft enough that you can peel it away from the strap that's underneath. And Donatello's got himself like a little tiny watch. If you aren't so keen on Donatello taking time, then you can actually just pop the arm off and replace it with basically just the same arm that doesn't have the little lifty part of plastic. I don't know why you would have to have taken that off. I mean, I kind of like the idea of Donatello keeping tabs of time, but if you don't want that, you can easily just pop that out. And there's a little touch on NECA's part to include that, because, I mean, I wouldn't have not even thought to include a secondary forearm for those that are apparently against time altogether. One last thing the figures also come included with, at least Donatello comes included with his bow staff. The staff, as you can see, the bands in the middle are painted in black. Just a wash, just a delicate brushing of wash with a very light feather, just to fill in some of those details. This can, of course, also fit into Donatello's hands, as it really should. Don't even have to change the hands, really, in any of the cases. He fits fine, the bow staff in his hand, or, which you can also do, too, if you flip the figure around, located here on the back, there are these tiny little laces, these little ribbons that you can feed the bow staff through. The first one is the easiest, at least I found. The second one involves you just prying a little bit further away from the shell, and then he can display the bow staff behind his back. What I might just end up doing, in fact, actually, is having Donatello displayed, I think, with the canister of ooze empty, gotta correct myself, empty canister of ooze in his one hand, and maybe the wacky bat in the other. One thing also noticed about the wacky bat is some of the paint from the hand has been left behind on the handle. Bummer. Anyways, those are the accessories. Let's slide the bow staff out of his hand. Put him down. Sorry. Mealtime later, we're going to have to take those sausage links and move those out of your way as well. And let's actually get a closer look. You know what? We'll go back to Michelangelo. I feel Michelangelo is, out of the four figures, the four Turtle Brothers, he might be my favorite. Because if you look at him and you compare him with the original Michelangelo, there really isn't a lot of deviation. The one thing that is changed between the two is that Michelangelo on the original release has him looking off to the side. What is he looking at? What's over there? What is over there? I don't see anything. But whereas this Michelangelo actually has him looking forward. The expression on his face definitely gives a lot more happiness to this turtle face. Although he's pretty happy here, but he's boisterous. You can see his tongue nicely sculpted, painted nicely as well in pink. And tiny little chiclet turtle teeth have also been sculpted in there as well. If you look at the two turtles as well, the spots aren't as obvious as perhaps maybe when we looked at the Leonardo and we compared those two figures. The spots are still there, but they're not as strong spots. As certainly when you compare it to the original Michelangelo, the spots are a lot softer. They're actually more like smudges on the turtle skin. The shells have been redesigned, so the front of the shell actually breaks things by 6 instead of the 4 that we had before. There probably would have been a strap, a cut line right there, but the belt covers in front of it. The belt is also a little bit higher. The belt is also lighter in color. And you can also see as well, they've painted the front half of the halved shell turtles more in a kind of, what would you call that? Like a beige, like a beigey yellow color, and then just added a brushing of brown over top of that. I do like the inclusion of the holsters on the side, although it makes things a little bit more problematic when it comes to moving his arms, because he always has these holsters in the way of things. The original Michelangelo obviously didn't have that. The colors of green are also a little bit different. The original Michelangelo had a more brighter green, a more vibrant green. The new Michelangelo seems to have a more swamp green. They've also added what looks less like dark green added. I mean, here you can see there's a lot more green that's been added around the muscles. This one has a lot less of it. Also, the elbow pad is a little bit different from one to the other. This one's a lot wider on the original release. They go a little thinner on the newer one. And again, to spin around to the back, the shells have been redesigned with a lot more colors added here for all of them, actually. I really like the color that they've done for these. Other than that, I mean, it looks like a lot of it is reusing the same mold. There possibly may have been some things that they could have changed. It looks like maybe like the forearms are a little bit different from one to the other. It looks like the biceps and the shoulders are possibly the same. It kind of actually looks like the Secret of the Ooze Michelangelo has slightly bigger shoulders. For the articulation here on Michelangelo, it's going to be the same as all the others we looked at already. His head is on a ball joint, so you can technically rotate all the way around. Once again, we've got ourselves where the bandanas have the straps on both sides here. It seems to be a common trend. But again, you can rotate it back and forth. You can have the head looking up. You can have the head looking down. Would you even believe it? You became able to even have the head hinging back and forth as well. Speaking of also hinging back and forth too, the top of the torso sits on a ball joint. So actually in between those two half shells, you can actually have the top of the torso moving back and forth as well. The arms move all the way around. You can hinge them out a little, about a 45-degree angle bend. And while there's no bicep swivel, there's at least an elbow swivel that allows the forearm to move back and forth. He has a double, technically on paper, he has a double hinge on the elbow, although most of it is really null and void because he does have the elbow pad underneath it. The strap runs across both the peg joints, both the hinge joints, really preventing the elbows to actually hinge a full double hinge bend. Hands rotate all the way around, and you can hinge it also back and forth. The legs do split, although on mine it's a little on the more tighter side, but there's ball joints working behind the scenes, so you can take the legs and move them forward, you can move them back, a mild swivel at the top of the thigh, double hinge on the knee once again, and articulation in the feet up and down this way, and back and forth this way as well. Once again, there are peg holes on the undersides of the turtle's feet. Not that you may have tough times getting these guys to stand. Actually, they stand fine, really. I don't even need display stands for it. On to Donatello. And I always really thought of the designs that we got, redesigns for Secret of the Ooze. Donatello seemed the strangest. Even as a kid, I had a tough time looking at Donatello. There was something really off-putting about his big smile across his face. And I guess to the credit, NECA has replicated that nicely here on the original figure. Now, speaking again of original figures, this is what the first Donatello had. Donatello's beak was a lot bigger on the original design. They tapered it off a little bit, but in exchange, they've given him this really eerie-looking smile. It's very off-putting. You can see that, again, the spots, a lot more spots and a lot less smudges. I still like the look of Donatello, I think, on this design of turtle figure versus this one here. But this one credits at least by having brighter colors. I mean, just how much more those eyes pop to what we get with the original Donatello. And again, like even his bandana is a lot more brighter purple. Still the trend, though, instead of having both the bands, both the end, the straps, I guess, the end, what's left of the bandana tied off, instead of having on the one side, which Donatello would have had here on this original figure, once again, they split it in the middle, and they have it draping down on both sides of the shoulders. it seems like a common design with all the four. You can move the head once again up and down, still all the same articulation. We're not going to talk too much about that, not yet at least. Unlike, I mean, obviously Michelangelo, who just would have had the belt going across the front, Donatello has more of a bandolier strap that runs across the top of one shoulder at least. And notably different, of course, he does have the ribbons here on the back that has the bow staff. You take the bow staff and you can slide it in between there. I know we already looked at that. Body-wise, it's just pretty much the exact same as Michelangelo. The only thing that's really different between them, you may be able to point out that maybe Donatello has a few extra spots that Michelangelo didn't have. I see a lot more of it in the thigh. The head is a little bit more differently patterned, but other than that, it looks like pretty much the same figure. One thing I did notice, though, about the two figures is the front shell of Michelangelo is a little bit darker, in fact, than the lighter color we get with Donatello. And again, one last time to bring the other turtle brother in. Colors, once again, you got a more brighter green here on the original release, more of, again, that swamp green here on the newer release. We started with the articulation. I know we kind of looked at it quickly here on Donatello. We started with this head, and I kind of took a detour from that. It's, all the same articulation as Michelangelo. So the arms, shoulders, I should say, the forearms here, hinge on the shoulders, the hinging on the forearms, I should say. Hands rotated again all the way around. You got the upper torso ball joint action. Same still with the legs, double hinge on the knees, and same articulation on the feet. And once again, just to wrap things up, because of course we already had a look at the other turtle brothers, we'll bring back in Leonardo, and we'll bring back in Raphael. I did make this point when we had a look at both Leonardo and Raphael. I'm going to continue that same point when we're wrapping up things for Michelangelo and Donatello. I don't feel like this is a set that you're going to be buying in replacing than the original Turtle Brothers that you got before. I think there's still as much of a place on your shelf for the original movie Turtles as much as there is for the Secret of the Ooze. The whole design of these is not to replace these ones, but simply just to add on to it, bringing now in the design of the Turtles as they looked in Secret of the Ooze. Here in Final Looks, I've got the two Turtle Brothers playing. Donatello has his wacky bat, and Michelangelo seems to be playing with meat. Oh, meat sticks. He has those sausage links, a nice addition that NECA would have included with this 2-pack. Tons of accessories that come included with these figures once again. You get the TGRI canister. This time around, empty. Where did that ooze end up going? You get yourself a full-slice pizza. You also get yourself a couple of nibbled-away crusts. Not discarding, though. You can still put them in the figure's hands. And I think when it comes to displaying these turtles, along with the other two that we've already had a look at, I'm likely going to be sticking with the wacky bat and the sausage links for displaying with Donatello and Michelangelo. Of the four that we've looked at here, I think my two favorite are Leonardo and Michelangelo. There's something still very off-putting by that big smile on Donatello's face. It looked creepy in the original time I saw it on the movie, and it looks even creepier now seeing it in plastic. A good credit, though, to NECA Toys for replicating the very creepy look on Donatello's. What was with Donatello's face? Seriously. Once again, though, a big thank you to the folks over at NECA Toys that did provide this sample of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Secret of the Ooze, Donatello and Michelangelo. Have you had the chance to pick up these figures yet? If you have, let me know down below in the comments section what you guys think of them, and perhaps which is your favorite of the four that we've had a look at. We are also looking at, FYI, if you don't mind me throwing out just a little bit of suggested hints, we are going to be looking as well at the Shredder. His review, yes, will be coming up right around the corner. The key to making sure that you're not missing out on any of this content that I keep regurgitating to you, the viewing audience. First of which, if you enjoyed this video, do a solid and hit it with a like. But if you're loving the content you're seeing and do want to stick around for more turtle action, then make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and turn on the ever-crucial bell notification. Ring-a-ling-a-ling. It doesn't actually make a noise, but if you feel comfortable doing it, when you hit the bell notification, you can say loudly in your room, your house, wherever you are, your dorm, ring-a-ling-a-ling. And everybody's going to think you're a little bit crazy. But lots of stuff coming your way, guys. So as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.